All right, so here is the second time I'm done this video, actually, just because the first one was just so bad. So, essentially, this is Recollection number 9 of Campaign 5 of a D&D 5th edition campaign. D&D 5th edition, of course, is owned by Wizards of the Coast, and the source book I am using is Explorer's Guide to Wildemount, which is created by the show and company Critical Role. So, without further ado, remember, we are down in the Underdark. The pathway through the Sirius Mountain Tunnel to the Dwendalian Empire is blocked by an adult blue dragon. So, the party is down in the Underdark, and the last thing that they heard was this suspicious sort of tapping noise. Anyways, so now at this point, the party, they're kind of like in cautious mode. Though Vorkeef and Noxus Kid try, through nature and history checks, to figure out what could be making the tapping noise, they are unsuccessful. And still, that with the adult blue dragon blocking the other side of the tunnel that leads out of the mountain pass, they determine that their best option is to continue on and find the survivors of Barrow Stone Turner's caravan. So, now there are a multitude of pathways that they can take, but the party decides to use Vexen's abilities. So Vexen finds what appears to be the trail of survivors using survival checks and stuff like that. So it leads them through a cavern path where the party hears the tapping noise grow louder and louder. Now, the party has Xander sneak into the next large cavern chamber, where he discovers the source of the noise. And these are creatures called hook horrors, right? There's 2 large hook horrors that apparently are consuming a caravan member's remains. So they're kind of over there just like consuming him. It's a corpse, you know what I mean? So they're like, all right. Well, looks like we got a little fight on our hands. So the party decides to try and ambush the unsuspecting hook horrors, but they don't notice the Grell lying in wait above. A Grell is kind of like, so, description of the hook horrors, they're kind of like big old beetle creatures with beaked mouths and little blind eyes, and they got like little hooks for hands, or hook horrors, and they got like a really strong carapace, like a really heavy exoskeleton. Now, a Grell is just this floating brain with tendrils that dangle down from him, and he's got a beak, no eyeballs, really creepy, and they kind of float around. So the Grell kind of sneaks down, and before they even start the fight, it kind of tries to ambush Xander. The party, they still outnumber him. The action economy is in their favor, and they succeed, obviously, firing arrows into the soft spots of the hook horrors, and pretty quickly Wick is over there blasting the Grell while Xander's trying to fight it off in a close hand-to-hand sort of grapple. But with that, they succeed. So from there, the party continues down another path that leads to a series of maze-like passages. Now, while they are searching for the caravan survivors, they discover a drow patrol that is in the area. Now, the party understands that there are probably Jorhasian agents using the Underdark to traverse the continent, and the party decides to not try and confront them. So, brief description. Jorhasian agents, they hail from Jorhas, the drow in this campaign setting, are, so drow are dark elves, right? Light silver color hair, kind of purplish or gray, or sort of like ashen or dark black skin. They have all sorts of various dark pigmentations, but they're dark elves, I guess. And these drow these drow are a little bit different from the typical sort of drow of the Forgotten Realms. Anyways, brief description of Xhorhas. So there's two main factions in the continent of Wildemount. There's the Dwendalian Empire, and then there's the Xhorhasian Dynasty. And these are the two major players. And currently in the campaign setting, they are at war with one another. So it is not uncommon that the Xhorhasians would use the Underdark to try and circumvent any sort of security that the Empire would have in its own territory. Obviously, they are more accustomed to traversing through the Underdark because they are drow. But with that, Xhorhas is kind of like bestial nations and stuff, or like goblinoids, like bugbears, goblins, orcs, stuff like that, minotaurs. So that is who you have in Xhorhas. They got like gnolls and stuff like that, like all sorts of goblinoids. And so you have them, and then the Dwendalian Empire is more like humans, dwarves, gnomes, elves, classic sort of fantasy sort of NPCs and races. So that's Xhorhas, and there'll be more on them later. But once the drow patrol is gone, the party continues until they find the caravan of survivors. Now, the party confirms that Barrow Stoneturner and his caravan barely escaped the dragon attack and are grateful that their former caravan guards came to their rescue. But now they have to escape, knowing that there is no other exit past the dragon. Now, they concoct a plan to draw the creature down into the Underdark, right? Because they could try and find another exit out of the Underdark, but they're like, let's keep it simple. We don't want to keep going down into the Underdark and encounter something we didn't want to find. So they'll take their chances with the dragon. So the plan is this. First, Vexen reminds them that a blue dragon is skilled at burrowing, so they will need to have speed on their side. So Barrow decides to lend the party 2 horses to outrun the dragon through the Underdark whenever the time comes. Because, yeah, sure, they're all underground and the dragon is big and large, but his special mobility skill is digging. Just digging through solid rock and stone and everything. That's kind of his shtick. So with that, they're like, all right, we got to be careful about that. We need speed, and we need to lure him away because the caravan would all be on foot. They can't outrun the dragon. So the party starts to escort the caravan back out of the Underdark, and they reach the large cavern chamber where they fought the Grell and the Hook Horrors. Now, they witness a Hook Horror passing the opening that they already came through. And suddenly, what they discover is the demise of the Hook Horror as the massive head of the dragon, Chasmnoth, lunges forward and swallows the creature whole. So they're like, well, we're not going back that way. So they understand now that Chasmnoth is in the Underdark with them. And they'll have to enact that plan that they were talking about. So Vexen and Vorkeef volunteer to lure the dragon away on horses, while the others slip past him and lead the caravan out of the Underdark. So Vorkeef mentions to Vexen that if he doesn't survive the encounter, to tell his mother and father of his demise. So Vexen's like, sure, of course. I don't recall if Vorkeef actually said who his mother and father was, but I'm sure he did. Anyways, Vexen's like, yeah, sure, I'll tell him. And he's like, likewise, tell my dad what happened to me. But I don't think Vexen had any intent on dying. But with that, both riders take off into the darkness, and they quickly attract Kazimnoth's attention. Now, the rest of the party, led by Nox's kid and his bees, race to the exit, ahead of Vorkeef and Vexen. Now, in this chase encounter, Vorkeef and Vexen try to navigate and control their mounts with animal handling checks. Now, Vorkeef starts rolling low and starts missing jumps and maneuvers with his horse. And finally, they come to what appears to be a two-way intersection in the cavern. So, Vorkeef and Vexen separate at that point because, Vorkeef is getting closer and closer to the dragon. And with that, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to break away from Vexen and essentially sacrifice myself. So, with that, they separate, and Kazimnoth obviously goes after Vorkeef, since he is failing his animal handling checks and slowing down. Now, at this point, Vexen continues, and he finds that he is no longer pursued, and he proceeds into an area that is in sort of old, forgotten ruin, illuminated by fluorescent fungi, which he traverses through cautiously. This section, it's more or less just giving some flavor to the Underdark. There's no real point to it, but, gotta make it seem like the world's alive. With that, meanwhile, Vorkeef is racing for his life here, trying to find an escape. Now, with the dragon getting closer with each step, thankfully, Vorkeef discovers another purple worm tunnel, just like in the previous video. So, or the previous recollection, he finds another purple worm tunnel that offers an exit. And he heads in that direction. Now, unfortunately, the dragon does close in. And Vorkeef, with a really lucky athletics check, jumps off the horse as Kazimnoth swallows the horse whole in one bite. Now, with that, he does successfully leap off the horse's back with the athletics check. He does not succeed on his acrobatics check, so he is tumbling down the purple worm tunnel, just lost his footing as soon as he hit the ground, and he's just sliding down it and rolling and tumbling as quickly as he can. Thankfully, the tunnel is small enough to where Kazimnoth cannot fit through, so he does get slowed down and he has to burrow at this point. So, as he is burrowing through it, Vorkeef finds his footing and just starts taking off. Now, by this point, Vexen has traversed his way through the Underdark to meet back up with the caravan and the rest of the party to escape. However, as the caravan is being helped over the wreckage of the collapsed tunnel by Wick, Xander, and Nox's kid, Vexen decides to wait at the ruined wall of the old Duergar fort that the tunnel actually collapsed down on from the previous video. And he's basically just posting up there, bow in hand, arrow ready, and just waiting. Just waiting for Vorkeef to return, because he's not about to abandon him. So, with bow in hand, he can hear the great moving of earth in the Underdark, emanating from the original purple worm tunnel that they all went down in the previous video. Now, by now, Vorkeef has entered into the cavern with where they fought the hook horrors and the growls. And so now he knows where he is. And so, from there, Kazimnoth bursts through the tunnel exit and is hastening his pursuit of Vorkeef. Now, Vorkeef is dashing and sprinting into the last tunnel that leads back to the old Duergar fortress. And as he emerges from the other side, he sees Vexen and shouts, he's like, "Don't shoot me! He's right behind me. He's like, it's me, don't shoot. The dragon's right behind me. And he takes off and basically just ducks out of the way as quickly as he can, out of the line of sight. And Vexen is just getting ready, and he starts drawing the arrow back. And as soon as Kazimnoth's face appears in the hole of the purple worm tunnel, Vexen fires the arrow, blinding the dragon by disabling his left eye. I know in the video that's my right eye, but it's my left eye. Anyways, so a little bit of flavor for that, Dragons, they're pretty overpowered, but I thought, yeah, you know what? Hit him in the eye. He's blinded. So, with that, the dragon lurches back and damages the cavern wall, causing another imminent collapse. So from there, the party is realizing that the collapsed tunnel area, the wreckage area, is about to get even more dangerous. The party rushes out and climbs that. Basically, Vorkif and Vexen are racing up that wreckage, climbing as fast as they can, jumping, doing athletics checks. Vorkif has a bit of an advantage, but he's trying to get up there as quickly as possible. And they both barely make it up, as typical. They barely make it up, and then the tunnel collapses behind them, sealing the Underdark, and technically the rest of the tunnel leading back to the Menagerie Coast. But with that, a couple of hours go by as they are traversing through the tunnel now with the caravan survivors. And once they emerge out of the eastern side of the Sirius Mountains, they are no longer in the Menagerie Coast. They now look upon the Marrow Valley of the Dwendalian Empire. So they've gone from one section of the continent to now a new section. And with it, there comes a whole set of laws and rules and customs that are completely different from the Menagerie Coast that they are accustomed to. So at that point, they're like, okay, it's a whole new area, whole new ball game, whole new government system, all that. So for them, it's exciting. And for me, it's a lot of work. But anyways, that is the conclusion of this recollection. And we'll pick back up with the next one. All right? Until then.